Hey y'all, hi. Trying new makeup, pretty straightforward. You know the drill. Subscribe if you want to. I do make fashion videos too, but today I'm just a basic beauty guru, a basic bee on YouTube trying new makeup. Let's go ahead and get into the meat of the video. It's been so long since I washed my hair. It's like it's crossed over into being like a postmodern art experiment. Sort of what will it become if it forgets that it ever even has been washed? Like, will it lose its identity as hair? I feel like Elaine and Kramer are like continuing to drive on the interstate past the empty. Is that who it was? My hair is so dirty that I've forgotten all of the details about every episode of Seinfeld. Anyway, there's no gas left in the tank, but we're still driving. We've gone like through the hair event horizon. Okay, I think that this is going to be our only option for today, but it's serviceable. That'll do, pig. I'm like a server at a restaurant. Some makeup that I bought to try. That's what this Kulfi is. So many of you have recommended that I try this brand. There's a very sparkly eyeshadow that I've wanted to try ever since I saw it on Lauren's channel. The mascara, which has been recommended to me, I believe by Elle Essentially. I think it was Elle. I certainly hope you're all following Elle Essentially on Instagram. If you're not, you're missing out, and I'll link Elle's channel. So I also, because I was getting two things from Kulfi, I also got the concealer to kind of get an overall sense of the brand. A few lip products from Soshe Beauty, which came in PR. Some About Face. I finally am getting to try the olive. I thought this was going to be a concealer. It's a foundation. They have a light olive shade in the foundation. The Freck pen. This tiny, totally looks like it would be a sample size that I cannot believe I paid money for. Anyway, I'm going to try this as part of my bronzer journey. I'm going to use the Versed blush because I still haven't gotten around to prepping a whole Versed video, and I know people really want to know about it, so we're tiptoeing into Versed and my new green color corrector. Let us begin. This is the Rhode Glazing Milk. It's a ceramide facial essence. I love to just use copious amounts of this, like too much, but continue to pat and pat and pat until it really soaks in and plumps up my skin. I find it plays well with other products. My skin really loves it. I like it so much. I like the effects so much that I tend to save it for daytime, wearing it underneath makeup, and use like a different essence at night because I'm really impressed with it as like a skin prep step. So that's that. EltaMD UV Skin Recovery Red Color Correcting Sunscreen. A little less than I would be using if I knew that I was going to be spending even like any amount of time outside today. If I was going to be taking my kid to the park or something, I would have put a bit more on, like layered more on. As it is, you know, there's a chance that I'll step outside with him for like a half hour into the backyard right before I cook dinner or something after the sun's already starting to go down. So it's like I just put on a best practices amount of sunscreen. And this one is so skincare-y that I feel like I actually like adding it into my skincare routine. And I think that that is the best quality that a sunscreen could have. And speaking of skin-caring, she's back again. This is the Givenchy Prisme Libre Skin Caring Concealer. I've had it before. It's great. And I will link my video about comparing a bunch of different green color correctors because I go into detail about this and how it differs from like the drugstore ones that I've tried and the other ones that I've tried in that video. I think it's that video. I'll find the video in which I give a detailed review of this and I'll link it so that you can go watch that because it does a better job there than I could possibly do now. To me, the benefits are my skin really loves it. It blends well with other things. It does feel kind of skin-carey. It does color correct. It's a little bit of a milky tone, which works well for me because I'm so pale. A potential drawback is it's not quite as green as other things. Like it's not as green as the one that I was recently using from, was it L'Oreal, the Ulta one? With greener color correctors, a little bit goes a longer way than this one. I feel like I have to use more of this one each time to truly fully color correct. But with this, I often feel like I don't necessarily need other coverage products when I'm done because of the balance of the tones. Let's see how it goes today. So I feel like that's a lot. I put a lot on and rubbed it all in and it did color correct. And also I feel like it made the finish of my skin really lovely. If I had used that much of the L'Oreal Prime Lab, the green primer that I have been using, like that big tube of that I've been using forever, but I recently ran out of. If I had used that much, the amount that I just used of this Givenchy, I would be like the Jolly Green Giant over here. It would have been like Elphaba from Wicked sitting before you. I would have just been like painting my face green. With this, that's the proper amount to really color correct so that my face basically matches my neck. So this is just, it's going to get used up a lot more quickly. So it's definitely a luxury in a lot of ways. Like it's a luxury price, it's a luxury name. The formula feels really luxurious, frankly, and I feel like it's a luxurious finish. It's a nice experience, and it's just way, way, way worse value for money than a lot of other green color correctors on the market. So worth it to me to use. I felt like this would be a nice like summer product, and I've really been enjoying using it. But also I was placing an order from Sephora. The one that I thought that I was going to get when the other one ran out was the Exa green color corrector. That's like my favorite one. But there wasn't anything else that I wanted or needed from Credo, and there were a couple of other things that I was getting from Sephora, so I chose this one instead, and I'm truly not sorry that I did that because I like the creamy finish for summer. I have 2 foundations and a concealer theoretically to test today, and very little to cover, right? I just feel like this skin looks good, right? I don't need to paint fake skin on top of this color corrected skin. A little redness still on my chin, maybe a little bit of like scarring and blemishes, but I'm gonna go, whatever I use, I'll go very light with it. I'm gonna swatch it. So these are the 3 that I have to test. The Kulfi concealer is in the shade Fudge Knock. The About Face The Performer Skin Focused Foundation is in F1 Neutral and F2 Olive. This is like light olive. I don't know if this is truly pale olive. This doesn't look olive enough for me, and this doesn't look light enough for me, so we'll see. And then I'm going to compare it to some things that we know and love, okay? It's like a concealer in that Super Mario world where everything is huge and you're tiny. It's like Alice in Wonderland with a concealer, which is very pleasing. I find it very pleasing. I like to feel ever so tiny. Okay, that's gonna be too dark for me for sure. The texture feels really nice. It feels very thin. Of the About Face, it feels like it's drying really quickly, sort of like a pigmented serum weight. That looks a little bit on the peach side. So the olive is too dark, and F1 Neutral looks a bit on the peach side. The Kulfi concealer, which is a thicker feeling formula, is much more promising right out of the gate. Look how it actually looks a bit olive. The olive About Face shade as it dries is starting to look extremely peach. Pink as a pig. I would venture to already say that is going to end up looking on me. On my hand, I can see what they're getting at with olive, but it looks more like an actual sort of medium olive than light olive. Okay, and then 4th in the lineup, I've put the Lisa Eldridge Seamless Skin Enhancing Tint in the shade T1.5, which is a true pale olive. So from my pinky moving across in the direction of my thumb, we have About Face F2 Olive, About Face F1 Neutral, Kulfi Fudge Nach, and then Lisa Eldridge T1.5, which you can see what an extraordinary match it truly is for my skin. See how it's like disappearing into my hand compared to the other 3, which are really standing out in one way or another. Lisa really nailed it with the shade of that skin tint. Of these, the one of these new ones, the one that is the most exciting to me is the Kulfi. So I think I'm gonna start out like I don't even want to F with this darker olive. Here's what I'm gonna do though. I'm gonna mix the 2 About Face products together and see what the color ends up being. Like I'm gonna truly mix them. Yeah, it was just as I had feared. They both have peach tones. So mixing them together, the swatch came out looking more peach than actual olive. And you know, peach with that red orange undertone is the opposite of green. Against my skin, it almost looks more peach as opposed to something like yellow, where it's like a little too yellow for me, a little too yellow white for me, but it can kind of work with my undertone. Shades that would maybe look kind of like that orangey medium olive in a vacuum on me, they end up looking very orange. So I just don't think that's going to be the one today. The formula looks lovely in a way, but I'm not putting up with it today. Okay, I just can't today. I'm putting the Kulfi concealer on the back of my hands. I'm using this Sarah Creel concealer brush, which I've actually really grown to enjoy for concealer. And I'm actually going to apply makeup after kind of a long-winded break. Okay, so here it is. I'm just putting it underneath my left eye here. And right before I went to apply it, I just looked at my face and I was like, I actually like how my under eye area, which is where I usually apply this type of thing, I actually like how it's looking. Like I like like how it looks with the other products on there. The layering of the Rhode essence, the sunscreen, and the green color corrector. Something's gonna have to really be great and not mess with that finish for me to like it better than the way that it looks without makeup. This did a pretty good job. It mattified it a tiny bit. The color is actually perfect. It's like the color of my neck, I feel, so it's really helping tie the room together. A light application blended in with the skincare and is not sitting in any kind of dry or cakey way on my skin. So I'm gonna add some to the side of the face here. Blending out with this brush, I feel like I'm getting a decent medium coverage of my scars on the side of my face with a really great color match for me. I'm sold. I trust her. I feel like I have concealers that I really love. I really love the Refi concealer. I really love the Lisa Eldridge skin tint. This is lighter than the Lisa Eldridge, but it's also going to give me like more targeted coverage. So I like the Lisa Eldridge skin tint when I just really quickly want to kind of like color correct and cast a veil of finish over my skin all in one go really quickly, but it's very thin and drippy and I always want to blend it out with like a big brush. And sometimes all I want is a little bit of targeted coverage on the problem areas of my skin. The Refi concealers, for that, one's a little too light and one's a little too dark, so I have to go through the rigmarole of blending them together or like putting one in one place and one in the other. And the Lisa Eldridge for that is more of like an all over the face thing. So I'm less inclined to reach for the Lisa Eldridge when I just want to do this little spot concealing. So I actually feel like this is potentially, I don't want to speak too soon, but potentially going to fill a gap in my kind of current concealer arsenal, which is wild. It's on this side again. So that's the side without it and that's the side with it. And I feel like you can't really tell a difference except for the fact that there's a little bit less redness on this side and a little bit fewer of contrasty blemishes. I'm gonna get the other side caught up. Okay, so this is the point at which when testing makeup or sometimes when applying makeup just for a casual day at home, I will sometimes look in the mirror and be like, oh, I've got a lot of product on my face now. Because of testing it, I've put on more than I kind of naturally would want to wear. And it's like heavy on my face or it's making me look like a very made up person. And I just don't really want to be going hither, thither, and yon as a very made up person. I don't feel like that right now. I feel, especially as I live in this concealer, it's going to feel pretty natural and organic to the skin. My skin kind of looks like skin with a good amount of skincare on it. And it has just a little more clarity than it did before because of the coverage. So I'm into that. Promising. And the About Face, the texture felt nice on my hand, but I just don't think I can work with these shades. Next, let's go to complexion. Okay, let's go to cheeks. Let's go to freckles. Let's do the most. So this is the Versed Shade Swipe Blush Stick in the shade Brownstone. I'm hoping it will be brown stone enough or look enough like sort of sun on me to make sense of the freckle situation because I didn't bring a powder bronzer here. I'm not going all in with the bronzer today, but I do want to try the freckles. Let's just see. Okay, let's just see how this ends up looking. I am actually going to use kind of a loose, slightly loose brush. This is probably supposed to be a powder brush. It's the Refro 5. Tap it off on my hand. Oh yeah, this is gonna be real like sunburn vibes. Okay, so I'm basically using this blush to bronze and it's going pretty well. The formula is thin and slidey enough so that I'm able to really spread it around with the brush and really kind of like buff it. And it's not giving me any trouble. It's not sticking, it's not streaking, it's blending really well. I feel like what everyone wants to know is how similar is this to the Merit Flush Balm because Versed and Merit are owned by the same person. And I think that there's a lot of creative crossover, but Versed is kind of like the drugstore version. It's like the drugstore Merit. This is more pigmented than Flush Balm. It feels like it's not as much of a gel formula. It feels a little bit more oily. Yeah, that's it. A little bit more pigmented and a little bit oilier. So a little is going a longer way. I'm having to be a little bit more careful with it, but it has that elegance of formulation and ease of use that we get from Merit. And, you know, the component doesn't feel quite as luxurious, which I think probably accounts for a lot of the price difference. In other ways, it's quite a similar product. I actually really like this sort of lightly blush draped look that I got. The last time I checked, a lot was sold out on the Versed website. This is another reason why I decided to put off doing like a full Versed review. They sent me a couple of products and then I went to try to kind of like get the rest of the range so that I could really try everything. It's not just that I wasn't able to get everything I would have wanted to try. It's that if I did the review and then you were like, oh, that looks great, that's perfect for me. And then you went to the website, you wouldn't be able to get what you want. And so it just seemed like not a good time to do a review. So I'm gonna wait until they've gotten themselves together over at Versed. Everything's restocked, and then maybe I'll come back with some reviews. And in the meantime, anything that I happen to have on hand, I'll like try and talk about. That is like a nice drugstore alternative to the Merit Flesh Balm. I don't know how it's gonna wear throughout the day. Again, it feels a little bit more oily. So it's a nice sheen, but that also tells me that it might be a little bit less dependable, like less sturdy. Today I have my hair back, so it's not gonna give me any trouble, but I could see that becoming an issue. The Merit highlight sticks, I actually have one right here. So this is Merit Kava. I really like the glow that I get from these highlight sticks from Merit. They have a slightly oily feel to the formula though. If you've tried it, you'll know what I'm talking about. Really beautiful, and I feel like that quality adds to the luminosity. So some days it really feels worth it to me, and I really like using this. But sometimes, especially if my hair is flying around, or if I've layered a bunch of emollient stuff underneath and I feel like it's going to be a bridge too far, I'll reach for something that's a little bit less emollient for highlighting. This kind of has that same quality. It almost feels like this, and it's in like essentially the same component, although again, a little bit less luxe feeling. The Versed blush stick, it feels like they took the Merit highlight formula, took out sort of the luminosity and added a lot of pigment. So it still has the glow from the oils. I mean, I think it has jojoba oils in it. I think it says it right here. Yeah, jojoba seed oil. Yeah, so it still has the glow from the oil, but instead of like that highlighting sheen, it's just got color pigment. And that's exactly what the formula feels like. Kind of like the Merit Flesh Balm and highlighter had a baby. I think it's gonna be an okay backdrop for fake freckles. I think, for me, because this is the color that I turn when I am in the sun for too long, and this is kind of where I get red. Look how little this is. That is so surreal to me. And I mean, I know that a little is all you need, so there's a lot of product in here, but it just, I mean, I guess I'm glad that they didn't make a huge chunky component when they are only needing to transport a tiny bit of product. But I think this was $17 or something. It's just like absolutely wild, the world we're living in. Okay, so you're supposed to do a couple dots and then like copy paste, they say, which just means press your finger on top, repeat it elsewhere. I feel like nothing happened. Maybe I've been not brave enough. It's subtle. My fingers are spotted. Okay, so it's copying, it's not really pasting. When I press my fingers into it, it's like getting onto my fingers and it's not really like transferring to my skin, but it is causing it to look like an extremely subtle, natural, real, freckled look on my face. Okay, there we got a little copy paste. I think maybe I'm just not using enough. So it's on this side, but not this side. All right, I'm gonna try to go bold. Okay, the copy paste thing, all that it's causing me to do is press my finger in, which is like softening the look of the dot. And then sometimes it's spreading it to other parts of the face. And it is ending up looking really natural. So I do kind of understand what they're talking about. I think that just when I read that copy paste thing on the website, on the description, I was imagining it working like incredibly flawlessly, like getting multiple repeats in different places of the exact same strength of freckle. And instead I just ended up with freckles all over my fingertips, and now I'm having to wipe them off, which is fine. Like that's clearly part of this. It's a little more labor intensive than maybe I was expecting, but I don't know. I think I would probably be interested in some sort of freckle pen that doesn't require all of this process, like where I could just sort of dot it on and it would give me different intensities of freckles depending on how hard I pushed. Because with this, it's like a pretty dark, almost like a dye, almost like a gel that dyes the skin that's on a very little brush. And it's like, it's effective and it does look natural. I don't even know how well you can see it with the lights reflecting, but I can really see it in person. And it does look pretty natural. And it just feels like I could totally see myself like getting ready for the day and then looking at this and being like, ugh, I'm just not putting up with it today. You know, I just don't want to mess with it. And that is a real drawback in my daily life to a makeup product these days. Overall, I feel like the cheek look has ended up really lovely. The luminosity of complexion with the slightly greasy cream blush all over, then the very light application of faux freckles. I feel like it's really working for me. We're digging into Sona, which I have to confess, I took it with me to Ithaca and I used it one night for it was like the final night when I was giving a poetry reading, and then we were going to see the stage reading of the play, of the playwright who was one of the other invited writers. Then we all had like a party, like a dinner party, and I wore this. So I have used it before, but I was very judicious with my application because I didn't want to have like tons of creamy, shiny eyeshadow falling all over the place, and I had never used it before. I was judicious because look at it. This is just, it's high voltage and it's extremely textured, and it's less flaky than I was expecting based on Lauren's imagery and also the imagery on the website. I remember now that when I applied it, it became very flaky and it was like flakes of product flaking around. And I kind of like that. I'm actually gonna use a brush. I just grabbed this little BK 203. I usually use my fingers. Oh yeah, see, so as soon as I put the brush into it, it kind of started flaking. And this is a good thing, okay? Because I really love a little dispersed flaky shine. I'm so excited about this. And when was the last time I put eyeshadow on? It was when I put this on in Ithaca. Oh my gosh, yes. The brush is the way to go with this. I succeeded pretty well with it with my fingers when I put it on the first time, but it's so satisfying to apply with a brush. And I feel like I can really control how much it builds up. It's just like painting on a nice layer of really shiny, flaky, champagne-y art supplies makeup. Look at that, y'all. So it's on this eye. My other eye is a little glossy because I took the blush onto it. You can really see it on this eye. This to me is like the perfect cool girl eye makeup. It's not really changing the shape of my eye. It's not adding any kind of structure or dimension. It's just adding shine in a textural way that it's like a cross between I know how to use makeup to enhance my features a little bit because of that glossy shine, and I just wear makeup because it's really fun and it's not necessarily about enhancement. It's kind of like a cross between those two things. This is just, to me, absolutely perfect. Like I can't think of anything better for the eyes this summer. This is really it. Oh yeah, so we're getting the flakes. The more it dries, the more we're getting the flakes. I'm gonna put a little more on the other eye, and I'm also going to experiment with building it up. Wow, yeah, putting this on my lids and seeing them shine, and at close range in the mirror, seeing those faux freckles, it's really making me feel like a makeup model. Like it's really making me feel like not myself. At close range, it's a whole look. It's like a whole thing. And I've learned more about this product. This is very interesting. This is one of those interesting things that I've played with recently. Here's what happens. The cream is quite wet in there. It's like quite jelly-like and damp. And if you pick it straight up out of the pot with a brush or with your finger and immediately start applying it, it's almost like the flakes, you crush the flakes and it becomes more integrated and creamy, and it almost becomes more like a traditional eyeshadow where you're painting on like a layer, a smoother layer of gold. But if you pick it up with a brush and let it dry a little bit kind of on your hand, it really starts to flake. Or if you tap it with your finger on the back of your hand and then press it onto your forehead, as it dries, it really, those flakes start to kind of compress and disperse. And then you really get that kind of sparkling sky full of stars application where it's spread around and it's more textured and more dynamic. Either way that you've applied it, it sets down. It's kind of fun to mess with. I could see it being frustrating for some people though. Like if you're trying to get like a really controlled smooth application and it starts to dry and it starts to flake, you're gonna get like spread out sparkles with bare skin coming through, which is a look that I like. But if you don't want that, if you want, again, like a more controlled, blended, traditional maybe eyeshadow look, you might have to be delicate with it. I picked it up straight with a brush and started kind of blending in the crease on this eye. And suddenly it was like, oh, this is an eyeshadow, you know? And then as I was sort of tapping and moving it around, it was like, oh, this is a topper. So it kind of has both qualities. And I think that it's worth it. And I also think if it's not for you, you'll know based on what I've said. You'll be like, oh yeah, I don't want to mess with that. I'm not putting up with it today. I actually really like how this looks without mascara. I like the way this is. I love an eyeshadow that you can wear without mascara and have it really look natural. This to me is like the definition of wearable editorial. I would totally wear this without mascara, and I probably will. But because we have it, and because Elle said that I was gonna like it, I'm gonna try it. Badi Lash. It's like a rubber, old school rubber, short little spiky. And you know what I like these days, right? The wispy strands of fluff blowing in the wind. Pussy willow fluff for lashes. We'll see. Okay, here's the thing. Mascaras are often out here changing their tune on me after like a couple of weeks. So I'll try it. I'll say one thing and then things will change. I'm leery of mascara first impressions, and I want you to take this with that grain of salt. However, I love this. And here's what happened. It's not wet. It's not too wet, right? It feels a little bit lived in, the tube, and I was easily able to work with it. First coat, it applied a pretty thick layer to all of my lashes and then lengthened them a bit. In the time that it took me to put that same layer on the other eye, it dried. It's like very quick drying, but it didn't dry down to be like completely bulletproof. It just really started drying. So then when I went back to that eye with the same brush and started brushing through it, the little tines all kind of grabbed the lashes and like dried them out and sort of brushed them through, kind of like brushing dry hair with a hairbrush and causing it to, kind of like if you put product in your dry hair and then you brush it, like volumizing product, it becomes really, like I was saying, like fluffy. It's like it laid the groundwork for itself, and then the wand went back through and made the lashes fluffy as they fully dried. That is my dream mascara. If only it came in like a pale blonde taupe. Like that literally would be my dream mascara. I bet I'll use the wand to try to get that magic to happen with other mascaras because they're really onto something here at Kulfi. Okay, I understand why everyone's been saying that I would like this brand. All three of the products that I tried from them today have really impressed me. It's time for lips, and we have some competitors. My lips have been so dry this whole time. I wish I had remembered this Soshe Peptide Lip Glow is here. It's a lip balm, but I'm not going to put it on right now because I just wanted to show you this because I'm going to try the other things. Okay, we have this Soshe Lip Duo, which is a lip liner in the shade Speakeasy. Oh wait, they're both in the shade Speakeasy. Yeah, they're both in the shade Speakeasy. It's a lip liner and a lip, it's like a tinted balm, but I think that it's really pretty tinted. It's probably gonna be more like a lipstick on me. So those look pretty. And the About Face Blurred Matte Lip Plump in the shade Opulent, which is basically just like a darker shade of the exact same color. You can tell I have a type. The About Face product, the Blurred Matte Lip Plump, it's that like cream, that like blurring cream that reminds me of K-Beauty. It's not really my favorite type of product. I'll try it, but for today, I think I'm gonna go with the Soshe because I'm curious about what the pigment level is of this tinted balm, which is like a category of makeup that interests me quite a lot. So there's the lip liner, and I just really went light with it. I really just used it to bring the vermilion border in to integrate it with the lips, you know, kind of like make it one with the lips. It's funny, the colors, it's got like a little bit of pinky orange in it. It's like a watery berry. And it also is kind of a semi-sheer, slidey matte formula rather than being like that extremely grippy, dry matte that I expect from lip liners. Maybe a little bit like the Merit ones, actually. Okay, for me to fall in love with this and put it in my makeup bag as like a go-to lip product, it would have to have 1/10 of the amount of pigment and be like 5 times more brown, right? Like way more brown. This to me is not brownstone. This again, it's like a berry. Of course, I'm very pale and I have kind of a green undertone, so I tend to make things look redder than they are. For me personally, that's what's holding this back from being a smash hit. It feels really nice though. It's thin. It's that type of tinted balm that isn't transferring like a ton of thick, nourishing, lip masky product to my lips, but rather just putting like a thin, but still quite nourishing layer on the lips. So less chapstick and more, I don't know, it's kind of like a slightly grippier, ever so slightly thicker version of the NARS Afterglow lip balm. It's not thin and oily like that. It's got a little bit more grip to it. That's the type of balm that it is, like a hard stick that just transfers a little bit. It feels very elegant, really elegantly formulated. Frankly, it feels luxurious. I do think the color is pretty. It's just that this is a lipstick for me, and in the day-to-day and from like a thin product like this, what I'm more looking for is like a lightly tinted balm. So as a makeup look, it really did end up coming together. I mean, as like a makeup look for YouTube, I think that this is a really pretty final step. The lip is a really pretty final step, and it feels light and easy to wear. It's just, you know me, I'm super picky about this kind of thing. I've done like an entire 3-video multi-product search across all levels of brands. I'll link that. I think it's like 4 videos Freckles from my search for the best tinted lip balm. I'll link it in the description box below. This wouldn't have made it through to the top round in that search. It is executing its own brief really, really well. That is it. We've tried new makeup. We've come away with respect for Kulfi, this small brand that's carried at Sephora. Slight skepticism about Freck, but a continued interest in fake freckles. And I don't know, the lip is kind of growing on me. The more I wear it, the easier it feels to wear. I think if I didn't have the eye makeup on and the fake freckles, if everything else was more toned down, I might happily wear this lip all day. Make of that what you will. And the last thing I have to say to you is that here's something that I'm going to do within the next 24 hours. Wash my hair. At least I'm going to try. Wish me luck. What keeps happening is that the day keeps ending. The end of the day comes. I say to myself, I didn't wash my hair today either. And then the next day, the end of that day comes. And then I say to myself, I didn't wash my hair today either. That's what keeps happening. So wish me luck for tomorrow. Thank you for watching. And don't forget to take extra good care of yourself so that you can be the most effective version of yourself as you do your work.